Okay, I think
And
we
we're
are.
live.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, this is episode one of The Fighter and the Fan.
yeah, you used my idea. Yeah.
I, I did. I didn't have any ideas, but I
Right.
do think of a better name than that because there's already a podcast out there called The Fighter and the Kid.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, that'd be like kind of ripping it off. Well, we'll
Yeah,
figure something out.
yeah. Well, we'll give some good thoughts into it. So
Yeah.
today is
It is April 10th,
April 10th, 2000.
2015, in the year of our Lord.
There's um, the rematch is tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Who's that?
Volkov Gonzaga.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna watch it.
No? Um,
Maybe I might. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe if I'm awake, I'll probably catch it. I might go up to my family's house tomorrow up in Wisconsin. So no, we'll see. We'll see what's up.
I um, I probably will watch it, but not live. Tomorrow's going to be a day where I try to walk 26 or 27 kilometers.
Why are you gonna try to do that?
It's me and my buddy who's also a I got him into MMA as a fan, not as a participant.
Right.
Uh, but he wants to start training for this thing called something Calamino or something like that. It's this big long pilgrimage, 30-day pilgrimage that takes you across Spain, and you have to, or ideally, you're walking about 30 kilometers a day.
No, hey, that's pretty badass.
That's a lot of kilometers, right? A
Right.
thousand kilometers over the course of the month. That's crazy.
Word.
Thousand, or is it 30? 30 times 30, whatever that is.
30,
900
900.
hours.
Math.
Yeah, I don't have math skills.
No worries. All right, so let's just talk about like this is basically like talk about like how would you get into MMA?
Um,
What's your story?
well, I in 1993 was that UFC one?
I think so.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, I can
like,
go research it. You talking? I'll research.
I was like 11 years old, I guess, and in 1993 I would have been 11 years old. So, or when that first UFC came out, I got to see it on VHS, and that it was cool. It was really cool. It was like I've never seen anything like that on TV, so it was actually kind of shocking, and it had the element of spectacle. So that was my first experience with it was called No Holds Barred back then. It wasn't even called mixed martial arts, but that was like early '90s. My first experience with that, and then I would catch like the occasional pay-per-view up until maybe around 2002 or ish, 2005 maybe. Uh, and then I started watching a little bit more regularly, but I didn't become a really hardcore fan until maybe like 2009 or 2010. So it was quite a bit into the MMA's existing short history before I became a fan of MMA.
And then what made you become a hardcore fan?
I don't know if anything made me become a hardcore fan, but it's just consistently being excited about the next UFC that came out. They had a lot of consistency, and now people notice the absence of that excitement feeling.
Hmm.
Uh, there's an event every week or every couple of weeks now, right? It's rare that you go 3 weeks without having a UFC event, and even rarer when there's no event at all, right? Like
Right.
it's just so oversaturated. But it was possibly during maybe what you consider the golden age with the Tito Ortiz, Rene Couture, and Iceman. It was when Iceman is already at his peak popularity. Forrest Griffin was becoming really popular, and Anderson Silva had yet to fight Chael Sonnen. So it was around a time where there was a lot of like change going on, I think.
And I want to clarify on your point. UFC 1 was November 12th, 1993. So
Yeah, I was
you're right. So there you go.
awesome.
You-
All right, so you in this podcast called the Fighter and the Kid, or the Fighter and the Fan, you are the fighter. So what's your experience?
All right, so I guess I've been into combat sports ever since I was a kid. I remember growing up watching boxing with my grandpa. God, ever since I was a kid, I was into professional wrestling. I was definitely a WWF. Back then it was WWF. I was a hardcore WWF fan. I grew up watching The Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. Even when The Rock and Steve Austin started coming out. That's why I got into it. But I've always wanted to box, but I never really got in, really had the chance. I wrestled in high school, and I did a lot of self study of martial arts. I remember when I was a kid, I got the CD-ROM of Hoist and his brother. His older brother, not Helio, Horian, not Horian. I can't remember. But they had a DVD, a little CD-ROM of how to do various Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu moves, and that's how I got into it. And I used to rent videos of the old UFCs as a kid. So I think in high school, I heard about the UFC, but I wanted to check it out for myself. So I rented some VHS tapes from the library, and I saw Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock. Remember Tank Abbott. Marco Huas was one of my favorite fighters from back in the day.
Who?
Marco Huas. He's probably UFC 4, UFC 5. I remember also Dan Severn and Oleg Tiktarov, of course Randy Couture and all that. And I'd get these catalogs, and they'd have all these VHS tapes of Marco Huas, giving seminars at the Gracies, blah blah blah. And I would read Bruce Lee books. I still have my old copy of Tao of Jeet Kune Do that I've had since I was 16. And I was definitely into Bruce Lee. But then I started fading out of following the UFC. Maybe after Zuffa took it over, because I felt it was becoming too too much like the WWE. It was becoming way too bro. But when I was in the Navy, I started boxing, and I did it to lose weight, and I actually dropped from 210 to 149 pounds in 6-7 months. And I remember my boxing coach would tell me that I looked like BJ Penn, and I was like, well, who the fuck is BJ Penn? And I started I started following a little bit, back again, learning who BJ Penn was, GSP, Tito Ortiz, all that. And then after I got out of the Navy, got into Muay Thai and fought a couple fights in Thailand. Hey, where we met, right, in Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
Memories of Chiang Mai, man. And it's Songkran, so anyone who's listening in Thailand, happy Songkran.
Is that happening now?
Well, I think it's happening this week. It's I think officially in Bangkok it's April 13th or the 15th. But you know how they do in Chiang Mai. It's
Yeah.
all the parties start a couple days early. So I know we had some good Songkran memories.
Yeah.
But
Is the most amazing event that I've ever been introduced to. It was crazy. It was just one of those times where Thailand just slaps you in the face with how awesome it can be.
oh yeah. Songkran and Loy Krathong are my favorite holidays. I don't know how you feel, but they're definitely my favorite holidays over Christmas and over Thanksgiving, or
Right.
Halloween. But yeah, I mean, after having a couple fights in Thailand, I got injured, and I just had trouble getting that momentum again to train. I don't know what it was. Maybe I got caught up in having too much fun in Thailand, because I started training less and hanging out more at all the bars and all that, because it's easy. Um, then decided to come home, found a job with or an internship with a paper, and then I just fell into covering the UFC. I just got lucky. I interviewed Ricardo Lamas, and I met the PR director of the UFC, and he gave me his business card, and I thought about it for a little bit. Like, I'd like to cover the UFC; it'd be kind of cool. Well, actually, first I got exposed to it. My first ever MMA event I ever went to was the UFC on Fox in Chicago last January, and I was a photographer. So I was at the Octagon. I didn't believe I would have Octagon side photo credentials. But I got my pass and I looked down and I'm like, holy shit, it's this Octagon side photo. So I'm walking out to the floor of the United Center, and like I had to walk back out to the tunnel because I couldn't believe that, like, holy shit, that I am at, like, my first ever MMA event is at the Octagon of a UFC event on Fox. And I remember, like, how they had those, like, if you've been to a live UFC event, they'd have like screens at the corners so you can see what's being televised live.
Totally.
And I'd see myself, I'm like, well, holy shit, I'm on Fox. This is nuts. So, like, to me, that whole experience was surreal. But, like, I didn't know too much about the new crop of the UFC. That event was Benson Henderson against Josh Thompson. Sergio Pettis fought against Alex Caceres. As my first exposure to Cowboy Cerrone, he got the knockout of the night in Chicago. And I remember how he bitched about how he didn't want to come back to Chicago because it was so fucking cold. Which I get. It was January, so I get it. So, I mean, that was surreal. And then I got that interview the following week with Ricardo Lamas, and I started thinking, how can I get back to doing this? So I asked to interview Chico Camus. I asked the PR director to interview Chico Camus because he was fighting at UFC 173. And he was like, yeah, sure. So I interviewed him, wrote him up for the Latino paper I still work for. I still write stories for Extra Bilingual newspaper in Chicago. So I ran the story, and I just out of the whim I was like, you know what? I asked him, hey, can I go to Las Vegas and cover UFC 173 as a photographer? And he's like, yeah, sure, just fill out the paperwork. And I filled out the paperwork, and that same day, just like that, I got my credentials approved. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to Vegas for a UFC pay-per-view. And it was the first Barao Dillashaw. Well, the only one, technically, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, supposedly there's supposed to be one next month, but
And that will be the second time that it falls through, right?
Right. Yeah, that's another good point. The second time it fell through. But yeah, I mean, I was in Vegas for 24 hours because I didn't like Vegas at the time. I had no desire to hang out in Vegas. So, I just went for that 24 hours and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing. I gotta do this again. So next one I applied for 175. Brought 2 vets with me. I got shot down for 180 in Mexico City, but then I went to 181. Obviously we went to 184. I covered 185. And now I just covered the Fairfax one. It was a photographer assistant with the ESPN photographer at Mulholland. So, I've been exposed to it a lot, I'm fortunate, I just talked to the editor of Bleacher Report. He said he's making me a featured columnist, so I guess I should hear about, officially get that on Monday. So, I mean, that's my long story into the whole fight journalism thing that I got into.
Man, that's pretty awesome, dude. So, my question is, at what point during that process, when you started photography and got your first press credentials, at what point did you think, yep, this direction, that's exactly that's what I want?
Look, dude, I've always been into fighting, man.
And so, why UFC and not something like kickboxing organization or boxing organization? Why MMA and why the UFC?
I mean, the UFC, I was just lucky to fall into it. I made the right connection at the right time. I'm meeting Dave Lockett. And you know what? The cool thing about the UFC is, and, you've experienced it yourself, is just that they're such a fan friendly organization. They're like easily accessible. You know, I covered Bears games last season, and it was hard for me to get a meeting with the media relations guy because I just want to talk to him and say like, hey, thanks for letting me cover the Bears this season. I'm just some small newspaper guy, but it's cool to sit in the press box and cover the Bears and go to the locker room. But we never really made time to hang out with each other. Maybe because I wasn't working for NBC or
Right.
a big sports channel. But the UFC, they've been so cool. They're they're just so accessible, and I've been able to just do so much cool shit with the UFC. So I figured, hey, let me just keep going with this. I mean, it's one of the world's fastest growing sports, right?
So that first UFC on Fox, when was that? So essentially, how much time has passed now?
That was January of last year, so January 2014. Now we're at April 2015, and I've covered 8 events, man. And dude, I never ever since I got back from Thailand. This is the last thing I thought I'd be doing, man. Doing sports journalism and sports photography at the UFC. So, dude, it's been unreal, man. It's definitely been unreal.
Cool. And so 8 events. That's about at the same pace as Cowboy Cerrone fights.
So I wish I was as badass as Cowboy Cerrone, though. He's obviously way more fitter than I am, despite his love for Budweiser. But I guess I'm on my own version of a Cowboy Cerrone tear, but his tear is way more badass than mine. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, but you get punched a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, I'm not bruised. There's no chance of me going to the hospital. But hey, he's pretty badass. I mean, he handles his own in the octagon. So
Yeah. Him tearing up Eddie Alvarez's legs. That was that was quite the fight, actually.
oh yeah, when he got that knockout, I forgot who he got that knockout against, but he landed this sweet head kick, and I don't know if it was I don't think it was
Miller.
no, it wasn't Miller. It was maybe it was Gonzaga. I don't know. Maybe not Gonzaga. Eddie Alvarez. I'm not sure.
He didn't finish Alvarez.
Was that?
He didn't finish Alvarez.
Okay, well he finished someone. Hey, thanks to the internet, we can look up
Yeah.
Chicago. Let me do that right now. He finished. Adriano Martins.
Oh, Adriano Martins.
Martins, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's I don't know what I think about that guy. He looks athletic, but he doesn't fight like a world beater.
I've never that was my only exposure to him. Obviously, he got his ass handed to him. So
Yeah, he did.
yeah, I mean, but and that was my first exposure to Cowboy Cerrone before I really knew who he was. And hopefully, in May, knock on wood, we might get to see him in Vegas.
Yeah, knock on wood, right?
So yeah, hopefully we get to do this again.
Oh, you know what? Cowboy Cerrone ended a 6-fight win streak of Adriano Martins.
Oh damn! So
Yeah, that's impressive.
what has Martins been doing since that loss? I haven't.
He's got 2 wins. Split decision over Rustam Khabilov, and he knocked out Juan Puig.
I'm guessing these are on Fox Sports or on Fight Pass or something.
Yeah, one UFC Fight Night, and the one before that was Ultimate Fighter 19 finale.
Oh well, shit! I was there. I was at the BJ Penn's last fight against Frankie Edgar. That was sad. That was the media room after that was really somber and really depressed. And, BJ Penn came out and he started crying, and I almost cried. I felt a little choked up because again, let me tell you, like, this is one of my favorite stories from that weekend. I was doing the whole media thing, and I was with my bet friends, and BJ Penn was hanging out on media day, and my buddy was like, "Hey, let's go take a picture with BJ Penn." I'm like, "Okay." So we asked BJ Penn if we could take a picture. He's like, "Yeah, sure, of course." We took a picture, and I told him the story about how when I was boxing, my coach said I looked like BJ Penn. I looked like you, and he was like, "Now you can tell." Now you can tell people that you are way more handsome than me. I'm like, man, shut up, dude. And he gave me a hug. BJ Penn gave me a hug. So, hey, huge BJ Penn fan for life now, you know?
Yeah, man. It's awesome because it's guys like him that they there's a few of them, or not very many of them, in each generation of fighters. They inspire the next generation, and Nick Diaz is one of those guys. He inspires a lot of other fighters. Like, when TJ Dillashaw faces off at the weigh-ins, he's doing the 209 face-off, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome. Those kind of fighters are like the inspiring guys, right? Like the Hoist Gracie, oh man, he inspired a crazy amount of evolution.
Right. And you know what's crazy? Like, the short lifespan of MMA, like, I mean, it's a new sport. It's only like 22 years old. UFC is only 22 years old. It already has the golden age, as you talked about before. Like, with Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, BJ Penn, Randy Couture. It's already had a golden age. And now, like, I don't want to say it's on the decline, but there's not as much star power as there was when, Randy Couture and Brock Lesnar and BJ Penn and GSP were in it. I mean, obviously, I cover the UFC, and they've been really good to me, so I'm obviously hoping, I want to see more star power. I hope to see, more fans enjoy the sport as much as we do.
Yeah, totally. And I don't know, this is possibly the first time I'm actually being able to observe a change of the guard, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I think we've talked off air before about pay-per-view numbers and who that next generation of big stars are going to be. I don't know if it's nostalgia that just makes us think of the golden age as the generation of guys that were just before this generation. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely going to be some stars coming up, and as you can, if you think back, there were only a handful of guys that were part of those superstars, right? And there's still only a handful of guys, so it's not like it's changed over much.
There was this cool article I found on Bleacher Report. It talked about the rise of basically the rise of old school MMA. I mean, because you had a few months ago you had the Tito Ortiz Stephan Bonner match on Bellator. And now you're going to have a Frank Shamrock Kimbo Slice matchup. If I can find the article, but they talked about the rise of this old school MMA that's coming up. Oh, the rise of throwback MMA. I'm pulling up the article right now, and they're comparing because Mirko Cro Cop's fighting Gabriel Gonzaga, and with all these fights in Bellator, they just there's this cool line that says, suddenly the 40-year-old pensioners are the new hot prospects. And let me properly cite this because I'm a writer. It is by Chad Dundas, MMA lead writer. It's some Bleacher Report under the Caged In, I guess. But yeah, it's a really good point that there's this nostalgia feeling we have. But I think pop culture in itself always has nostalgia. I mean, you look at the movies now; they're all like throwbacks to, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Transformers or whatever. So, but it's weird that how fast that we're sensing this nostalgia in a sport that's only 22 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an old sport when it's compared to any of the other major national sports like hockey, basketball, the NFL, or boxing. It's certainly not near that, but within our lifetime, we experienced. Okay, so it's like 20 years old now, 1993, 22 years old now, and that is most of my life. Not all of it, but most of my life and all of my adult life. It was a big part of the growth. So we're at a part where it's just exploding into popularity. So the nostalgia thing is very very real, and I think it's just because of how long of our lives have been a part of being a fan of MMA.
Right. Word.
Like the featherweight division, it doesn't feel like it's old, but it kind of is. So there is like a nostalgia thing about that.
The featherweight division is like what, 6 years old or something? Like
Five
come
years
on,
old, yeah, or it's approaching 5 years old.
right? But yeah, I guess there is a nostalgia to it. Like like old school Uriah Faber and God, who else? Who else was in the
Brown,
featherweight back in the day? Who?
Mike Brown was there, and who's that? Leonard Garcia.
Leonard Garcia.
You know, he's a 45 pounder who's just known for exciting fights. He had this, like, he stayed in the UFC after 5 straight losses before getting the boot.
All right. I'm not too like up to date on the history of the featherweight division. Again, like I was just like very casually following it until I started like following it because it was kind of my job. So
The 2000s is a decade that I didn't really watch a lot of it, but it was only approaching the end of the 2000 decade that I started getting really into it. But after I got into it, I start looking at these the historic fights, and you start to grow an appreciation for those historic fights again. And with what I like about Fight Pass, even though there's some frustrating things about Fight Pass, there's some awesome things about it, such as being able to look at those old wars that happened in Pride or Strikeforce or WEC.
right,
There's some really amazing fights that you can just become nostalgic over, even though you didn't see them when they first came out, right?
right, and yeah, I mean, again, look, I do remember growing up too, also like digging Vitor Belfort. I mean, Vitor Belfort, is just a little bit older than us, but it was just amazing to see like this 19-year-old dude with fast hands just knock people out. And yeah, when I first got Fight Pass, that's the first thing I did was watch old Vitor Belfort fights and just being amazed at how fast his hands were.
Yeah, totally. And he would wear those tiny little boots. Like,
Right.
I don't think they were wrestling boots, but they gave him traction, just like cover the octagon from one side to the other in no time. And he would just blast people's heads off their shoulders.
Those were the days. I mean, like when you can wear a gi or boots or whatever, when there was lesser rules, I guess.
Or one boxing glove.
Basically. So I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Do you miss the old days of the UFC, like the pre-Zuffa days, where there was like no rounds? You know, boxers or fighters can wear shoes, or you can.
You know what? I like the events that happen now, even though they're really frequent, and even though there's a lot of fights that are not what I consider UFC caliber, I still do enjoy the landscape. What I miss about the old days is the promotion and anticipation of building up an epic card, right?
Right.
There was epic build up to the Spider and Weidman 2. There was a huge build up, and so the anticipation was immense, right? There was a huge build up to Daniel Cormier and John Jones, and now there's this really really big build up for Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo. So those cards, they still bring back that old feeling and can invigorate that feeling of excitement, right? So
Right.
when I think about what I miss of the old days, it's that excitement for an upcoming card. And so when the UFC's promotional team is able to bring out that excitement in me, I really 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 appreciate it.
Well, I guess like you like the UFC is trying to do like 45 cars a year. A lot of people feel it's saturated. I mean, I see both sides of the coin. Yeah, I mean, there's I mean, it just takes away from the anticipation of like a UFC 143 or a UFC 190 down the road or whatever, because you're constantly getting it every week. But in the same aspect, you got to try to expand the fan base somehow. You got to figure out a way to bring in new fans to MMA. And I did this interview with Clay Guida for Bleacher Report, and he talked about the lack of appreciation for wrestling by casual MMA fans, and he acknowledged that the true fans, the true MMA fans, really do appreciate the sport of wrestling. But when you see like a lull in the action when it comes to trying to get that takedown or the ground game, people kind of boo it. But I've done it. I've wrestled. I've done a little bit of jiu-jitsu. That shit's hard, man. It's really intense.
It's physically taxing. Like I never felt as exhausted as I did after 15 minutes of rolling.
Right, dude. Going through 5 minutes of rolling is tough. Let alone
Right.
15 or 25.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and your muscles burn, like the lactic acid is all built up in there.
Right.
It's it's crazy because there's people that are good at it, so it's very apparent when you're not good at it.
Right. Right. Like, but the book The Fighter's Mind. I think Pat Miletich, he said that to become good, you gotta get your ass kicked a lot. And I know you're waiting for that book to be delivered to you. And yeah, I mean, if you're an MMA fan, whether you're a fighter or a fan, you definitely got to read those books by Sam Sheridan, because I mean, it just really describes the fighter's mindset, or what you're really thinking about as a fighter. And I still think about it sometimes, like, God, I'd like to get back in the ring. I'm still out of shape. I wish I could fight one more time. When I'm at these UFC events too, like, I internalize that. I'm like, man, I'd like to be in the octagon. I'd like to just have one fight. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
But
So, what is that? What is that feeling inside of you? Like when you explore that, what is it that you feel the need to accomplish when you're watching someone else compete?
I think I just missed the test. And again, Sam Sheridan nailed it. You just you just need to be. You just feel that you need to be tested. That's why a lot of fighters have, at the end of fights, they hug each other and they have all this respect because they tested each other. You respect someone who's willing to stand toe to toe with you and trade leather, and they take your best shots and you eat their best shots. So that's why there's all this fighter camaraderie, and that's what I miss about it. Just again, and I'm saying it over and over, is the test of it. Just how much can I take? How much am I willing to go through? Because it makes you feel alive. Fighting really made me feel alive, and yeah, I guess that's what I miss.
That's cool. I've never trained to and actually competed. Like I've never trained to fight for real.
No, go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything else other than that. It's so I don't know the actual feeling of besides just like rolling in the gym for a couple of jiu-jitsu classes. Which you do. You don't really go 100%, but sometimes you're with guys who go like close to 100%, and that's really good training. But I've never done that for a long period of time, like anything equivalent to a camp. But I like the feeling of being comfortable in adverse situations.
Right. And it obviously takes a while. I mean, I remember when I first sparred in the boxing gym, I was super nervous, super jittery, and like when you're nervous, you just lose a lot of energy, and it just drains you because you're like really tense, and obviously that just sucks a lot of energy from you. Your muscles are tense. That's why you're taught to be loose. You're just taught to just move around and stay loose, so you don't.
And emotionless, right?
Was that?
And emotionless. But
Yeah.
that's actually, you could even look at farmers don't like their animals to be stressed out because it affects chickens' ability to lay eggs. You know, and when deer are stressed out, right, especially when they need to get fattened up for the winter, if they just detect humans in the zone, the stress will build up in them, and they'll burn through their reserves quicker, and they'll uh, eventually have the potential to have an exceptionally tough winter just if they're stressed out. You know.
Right. And but I mean, you're always going to be stressed out before a fight. I mean, fuck, you get hit in the face. So yeah, I mean, my first fights in Thailand, since they were like, pro fights, I was nervous as shit because I didn't know what to expect because they use elbows, they use knees. Um, but yeah, like you're always going to be nervous. You're always going to be a little stressed. But I guess once the bell rings, you got you everything. You just let everything go, and it's cool in Thailand that you get to do the white crew, the little dance before the fight because it's like meditation. It really calms you down and it centers you. And I mean, in Thailand, there's a spiritual aspect to it, but for me, I just found it as a way to just center myself and just to focus on what I'm going to do.
That's cool. That's cool, man. Um, so you've recently dabbled in training. How did
hmm
that go? And where's it eventually gonna go?
I liked it. I mean, I missed it. It made me feel whole. But I mean, first off, it's just the cost of it. I can't really afford it that much, especially when I'm paying for these UFC trips out of my own pocket. So I'm trying to save up for that, and I'm going to journalism school at Northwestern. So, it's just. And I listened to that Steve Austin interview you recommended me yesterday,
Yeah.
and he talked about like he did talk about maybe getting back in the ring one more time or something, but he felt like he wouldn't be satisfied with it because he wouldn't be able to give it a full 110%. And the way the way the Steve Austin Stone Cold Steve Austin brand is, and maybe that's the way I feel about it. Is if I got back in there, I couldn't give it 110% because I got all these things going on in my life with journalism school and writing and all that. I wouldn't be able to give 110% in my training, and so I guess it's hard to give it up. Maybe maybe I'll have to let it go eventually, but right now I still kind of want to do it. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Right. And do you have a? Would you have to go gym hunting, or how would that work?
I don't know. Like I trained at Clay Guida's old gym, the Midwest Training Center, and it's in the Chicago suburbs, and it was really cool.
That's an
The
MMA gym.
was that?
That's an MMA gym.
Yeah, it's an MMA gym, and yeah, the coach there, Alex Trujillo, was really nice. I just couldn't afford it and didn't have the time to fully dedicate myself to training to be a fighter. So I was like, But I mean, I'd recommend going there. I had no beef with training there. I just couldn't afford doing it, so might as well just train on my own for a little bit, get myself back in shape that way.
I have a gi because I bought it because I was thinking about doing some jiu-jitsu, and I did do some classes. I went for a couple of months, but I haven't been for maybe the greater part of a year by now. Oh man, that's a long time. And it is because in order to get a good deal for like $100 a month, I have to commit to, and pay for 12 months up front. So
Right.
there's no like month by month price at the gym that I was going at. And I haven't hunted around for cheaper gyms to try and fit other gyms into my schedule.
Right.
I think I'd be interested if the commitment wasn't, so long.
Would you like compete in the jiu-jitsu tournament?
Uh, Potentially, like if I felt like I learned a lot and was wanting to test my ability against someone that I didn't previously roll with,
hmm
because there's that aspect of what you do in the gym. You kind of learn tendencies of the people that you train with frequently.
Right.
So someone else with a completely different style that you've never been near before, it seems like it would be really really interesting. And jujitsu, I feel like that's obviously less stressful than getting punched in the face.
Right. I mean, you get used to it after a while, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I could never get used to it, honestly. My chin is not that great, but I guess in the right moment, with the right emotions, like if I get hit, fine, fuck it, hit me. I'm still gonna come at you. Would you ever like go back to Thailand and do Muay Thai? I mean, just train at a Muay Thai gym.
Yeah, I would have done it last time if I thought it was affordable. Man, I was looking at some prices and it was like 4,000 to 8,000 baht. No, no, rather 8,000 to 12,000 baht a month.
Where was this?
This was Chiang Mai. I don't know what the gym was, but I was just like looking at like some. I was just looking through the internet. Like I didn't actually. And that was the only thing. So the looking that way, It's just you're only going to find places that have websites, right?
Right.
And I'm sure there's gyms that don't have websites that maybe are more affordable or something.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like it was out of my budget, anyways.
I mean, like, it is more expensive for foreigners to train at a gym in Thailand, but the training is way better than what you get in the States. Yeah, because like it's fully dedicated. You train like a real fighter. Like I feel like when I train in America, I feel like it's just like karate class. But especially my gym in Chiang Mai, Santai Muay Thai. There's a shout out for Santai Muay Thai, Sankampang represent yo. But like yeah, I got get some training with Muay Thai fighters who've had like 100, 200 fights. They fought in Lumpini, the top stadiums in Thailand. So yeah, it is pricey, but you get way more than at least what I felt like I got in the States.
So you would you make an effort, or do you plan to do an effort to go back to that gym?
Oh yeah, I definitely would love to go back. I do miss it, man. I mean, I still talk to the owners once in a while.
You don't see anything in the near future where you'd go back?
Not in like a year or so. I mean, because I got journalism school going on, I'd love to go back. Definitely miss it. And I know you miss Thailand too. I mean, fuck, like you were there in December, so yeah, you suck.
All right, I'm gonna just say pause so I can go AFK away from the keyboard and get here.
All right. One day when we get really big with this, this could be our commercial break, and we step away. You get a beer. I have my little water thing, vitamin water. Vitamin water. Hey, you know what? Sponsorship opportunity. I don't know what beer you're drinking.
Opportunity.
What's that? Hey, what kind of beer is it?
This is a local craft beer. The brewery is called Phillips, and this is their Slipstream Ale. It is very, very delicious. I think. Let me give you their personal description of it. Slipstream is a precision-crafted ale that's finely tuned for flavor. Cooperative fluid dynamic techniques result in a beer that is greater than the sum of its parts. Pours a deep copper color and features a full, malty, and round body. Tuck into the Slipstream and enjoy the ride.
Well, that's the commercial right there. Don't lie, I have a Vitamin Water Zero, but I filled it with actual water, and I had a Mio Energy. So sponsorship opportunities if we ever get like a lot of viewers, we would like some money to cover UFC stuff. to make this our lives.
So, what do you think about this perspective
What perspective?
of what I got going on here? I got the screen, got a poster, and just me in a chair.
Yeah, I mean, I dig it. I mean, we're just two dudes, like, just talking about MMA. You know,
So,
hopefully to an audience. You
so
know?
it'd be cool to either use one of your pictures or
Yeah.
like some kind of a logo, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, that's oh man. All right, we'll do that next time. I'll send you one of my high res pictures. Probably like I got this favorite one. My favorite one is like of Daniel Cormier throwing Dan Henderson. Let's use that one next week.
You know what you could do? Actually, I think it would be a fantastic idea. Use Google Drive, right?
Yeah.
So if you created a presentation that was just on loop or something, and then I just had a presentation play here, you know, and I think it would be cool, like with a mix of your pictures moving around or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, all right. So yeah, I'll create a presentation on Google Drive, and bam, we can promote my photography, and our podcast and Bleacher Report and blah blah blah. Yeah, we're gonna be really big one day. It's gonna be awesome. Damn it.
Definitely. And I think this poster should be moved down so it's more you.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, you got Anderson Silva's head cropped, so yeah, just bring it down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the whole setup you got going. I dig.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
It did require a little messing around. Like, obviously, we started this a little later than expected. But I feel like I made some good changes in this space.
Right. Yeah. You know, it would be cool is one day too. If, you know, we get some interviews going too. Like, we can interview fans. We can interview. You know, maybe we'll be super cool and interview one of like the MMA media members, or maybe a fighter. Who knows?
Yeah, totally. The idea, because we can send invites on this thing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We can invite fans to talk to us if they think we're cool enough.
Now, here's the thing: are you doing it as a media member or a fan? Because like you can't interview them, or you can't say it's as a media member if you want to just shoot the shit with them, right?
I don't know. I'd have to figure that out. I'd have to find a journalism ethics book and be like, hey, can I bullshit with the fan? Is that cool?
No, it's totally true, because you look about the MMA Hour or the MMA Beat.
Yeah.
In the garden, they have their formats and their professionalism when they have people that they interview. And then you have some the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and he's just more hanging out with people and shooting the shit.
Right.
So that it's a very different flavor than as a member of the media, right?
We'll let it develop. You know, we'll see what happens with it. But I mean, like, I listened to MMA Hour this week, and he had Ariel Helwani had Ala Quinta on, and Ala Quinta was pissed off with two fans flicking him off. So Ariel Helwani had the two fans come on, and they apologized to him for flicking him off. So, I mean, there's that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I remember that. That was a good interview.
Right. No, that was a really good interview. So, and being on MMA Hours right now is gonna be way cooler than being on here. Maybe we'll be as cool as Ariel Helwani one day. I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe we'll be even more cooler. Just kidding.
I don't know. He's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool dude. No, like I was joking with you. Like maybe at UFC 184, maybe you'll be cool enough to sit in the front of media row, and Bruce Buffer will give you a fist bump. Hey, that'd be awesome, right?
That would be awesome.
I remember at 181, like I was just like really like like this the surrealness of my life was barely hitting me. And like I sat down at the media room eating lunch at Mandalay Bay, and then you see like Bruce Buffer bullshitting with Ariel Helwani. I'm like, this is my life. Oh, well, all right, okay, this is kind of cool. And then after a while, I'm just like, all right, now you see these fighters as just like everyone else. But yeah, that was like my fourth event. I was like, man, this is weird. And this you have Ariel Helwani bullshitting with Bruce Buffer, and then like Kevin Harvick, then some NASCAR guy was coming in a few minutes to talk to people. I'm like, all right, this is kind of cool.
It is pretty cool.
So hopefully we get to do this more often, and that's kind of why we're doing this, right? I mean, so we can be cool and maybe be one of the cool UFC kids. I don't know.
Well, it's cool to be cool, but the work is its reward, kind of.
It is. Yeah, the work is that's a good point. Yeah, the work is its reward.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm a fan first and foremost at this point. I don't even consider myself near the media, but it's a fun experience, and thinking about like that process of professionally interviewing people, right?
Right. And I think like I don't know everyone that does this, from Ariel Helwani to John Morgan to all the other reporters that are there. They're just fans too, They're just like you and me, but they're lucky enough to get to build a professional rapport with these UFC fighters and just interview them. So I think anyone that covers sports, whether it's the NFL or the UFC or baseball, they're just all like at the heart of it all, they're sports fans, but they get this really cool job where they get to interview big time athletes and get to go to big sporting events like the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup or the World Series or whatever. I think in the end we're just all lucky sports fans for the access that we get.
Totally. I agree.
Vitamin water with Neo.
Plug.
Yes, for sure.
So I can't see the timer for how long this has been going on for.
It's been going on a while. I think. What time we start this? We might be over an hour.
Yeah, we might be, but I can't. That's weird. You'd think there would be a timer, especially if it's going to be posted to YouTube.
Right, but all right, we'll just say we talked about it for an hour and a half or something.
Yeah.
Actually.
But I do have an appointment around 9:30 that I probably have to get ready for.
That's 9:30 Pacific time, which is 11:30 my time.
Yeah.
In Central time. In the Chi in Chicago.
Yeah. Is that you're in Central Time? Is that right?
Yes, Central time. So we're in. You know what? And let's just say this is the cool thing about the internet, that we're friends. We met in Thailand. We're friends that we've met in Thailand, and we get to do this podcast from our own homes that are about a couple thousand miles away. Countries. We're a country away from each other. We're just one international border and a couple thousand miles away.
Yeah, I love the internet. I think it's fantastic. Like I don't know what I would do without the internet in my life.
For sure. So, and hopefully we can get this thing rolling.
Totally. Okay. So if we happen to get any viewers, which I'm not counting on anything large in number, thank you for watching the episode 1 of The Fighter and the Fan.
And we'll come up with a cool name.
We'll come with a cool name and a cool logo. We'll come with.
So if anyone wants to donate, if anyone has any ideas for a name, or if anyone wants to donate their time and design something for us, maybe I'll give you a photo or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. We'll work something out.
Totally. All right. So the next one, we should do it on a WordPress account.
Yeah, or this. No, but like we'll keep this YouTube channel up.
Yeah.
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll talk off air. Let's wrap it up and we'll talk off air.
All right. Talk to you later, dude.
All right, later. All right. So